You know what's funny was when I was going through the airport, these flight attendants, or I don't know what you call them, the ones at the desk, they were so excited to tell us to just do it ourselves. Like, no, you scan it yourself, print your barcode, put the bag in. And I'm like, do you realize that you're helping this machine take over your job? Are you ready for when we actually don't need you anymore?
Check it out, we're back, a new episode of Leaders Create Leaders, and today's a good show because we're going to meet my boy, Peter Yobo. He is an expert strategist for Fortune 50 companies, and I'm talking about billion-dollar brands. But he doesn't just build businesses. This is a guy who also builds people and communities, and he's unbelievable at it.
How did you become a world-class consultant? How did you become the millennial voice for PwC?
Yeah.
You know, because that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it started when I was playing football and I herniated my L4, L5. So now I have a back injury, I have pain going down my legs, sciatica, and I get to the place where I realize, all right, this plan B thing is a must for me. I'm not going to be one of the other guys who's just going to sail right into the league. So I started interning with PwC. And during the fall season, when my teammates were getting ready for fall camp, I'm in PwC with our clients, just grinding, like just doing anything. You want me to do this? I'll do that. I just kept working. So after college, I went into consulting full time, and you start off as nobody. Like you're that kid. But that was the great thing about that moment for me was and I tell everybody this, everyone at PwC was out there getting their MBAs. Getting an MBA, undergrad is not enough, you need the MBA. And I said, look, I get to be in the biggest companies every day. I get to be at the table with some of the most influential people every day. That is my MBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is my MBA, because if you can listen and if you can take enough initiative, you will learn the levers to pull to make any company great. And the role that I started playing initially was just the guy who would do the work. Someone else had the vision and I would do the work. But that was part of the training ground. Now I was excelling in the execution. As a visionary, visionaries, we just want to talk about the idea and build the idea, but working the idea is tough. And I think that was the next level that I was being groomed for, was now I was learning how to execute. And then very soon I was crushing it, and literally, so imagine I'm the youngest guy, or the lowest guy on the totem pole. I'm crushing and executing at such a high level. I'm managing folks who are higher up. They're bringing me and saying, Peter, you oversee this whole thing, just go. And I started to build that brand, which said, you want it done? Talk to Peter, and he'll just go. You know what I mean? So I would have a team, and exactly, I'd have the team, have the strategy, have the vision first, build the strategy, everyone buys in, and we just go. And I would always refer to my teams as SWAT teams. Like, we come in when you need something solved. Like, we don't come in just to take notes. We come in, get the work done, and get out. And what was powerful was I started to do very well. So, again, I love people. That's my thing. People first, then process, then you can worry about technology and all the gadgets. But just through my networking, this one lady who just always just had this desire to invest in me, invest in my growth, she pulls me into this meeting. This is the meeting of all our human capital leaders. So these are the folks who are making decisions on how do we shape PwC, not today, 5 years from now. So they were thinking 5 years ahead. And they bring me in, I'm supposed to be this young guy who's just I am there for aesthetics. I am just there to say, okay, we have a young guy, we're a very young company, and you guys are represented. I wasn't expected to talk.
Right.
So now these big folks, I mean, we have a COO of our accounting practice, big time guys, and some guys just pitching this solution on how they can help our people. And I'm there and I'm itching. Yeah. And I'm itching. I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. And you know me and whiteboards.
Yeah. Oh.
You know me and whiteboards. I just said, hey guys, this is unconventional. This is very millennial of me. And I just got up and I sketched my idea. I look back, mind's blown. I mean, literally since that day, I got pulled into pretty much every meeting on a global leadership level for PwC to represent the millennials. We're 100 and something thousand people company. 80% of them are now millennials. So they needed to understand when we implement all these new technologies and these new processes and ways of doing business, how do we keep in mind the millennial consumer and our millennial workforce? And I became that guy. So, I mean, imagine I was reading at least 2 or 3 books a week on culture, leadership, gender equality, diversity, everything that mattered. And then also, you know, how do you engage and retain a workforce, a millennial workforce? So I became that guy. And now, not only did I first have the vision, the ability to just dream big dreams, and then now the ability to execute on those big dreams, but now I went back up to on a more corporate. How do you build? How do you build something for the future? How do you innovate for the future? So I was just developing all these skill sets, and now this man who sits here, he's a guy who's gone through, you know, the best institution in this country when it comes, in the world really, when it comes to consulting, PwC, you know, and learn all these skill sets. I mean, with the top tier folks. And now I get to step out and bring that to the rest of the world. Wow.
So we're about to get into Peter Yobo's backstory. He grew up in Ghana, and he had this big dream on how he was gonna make it to the United States. He didn't know how, but you know what? He manifested it. He actually made it a reality. And a lot of times we have these big visions, people doubt you, you know, you have this big dream, but you have to just embrace the journey. And sometimes just don't worry about how you're gonna get there, but just know that you're gonna get there. Focus on that destination, because it is possible.
My mother was struggling to afford $60 per year in high school tuition. And now I was asking her for $56,000 per year. That conversation did not go too well. But I saw this grand vision of my life, and I knew I had to live it out. So what I would do is, instead of going to lunch, you know, go hang out with the guys, I would go and sit behind one of the 2 computers that had internet in my school. And it was almost automatic. I would go www.usc.edu. And I lived out the USC experience through the photos on the website. My favorite picture was the one of the USC floral gardens. I would imagine myself just walking on this red brick pathway, looking at the USC floral gardens, the green and yellow flowers, and just, I was in USC. I lived this so much in my mind that I began to believe it. So after high school, my family put together some money and sent me out to the U.S. I took the first year of college, worked to save up some money, and then I started at San Jose State. Now for 2 years I was restless. I knew I had to leave. So I applied to a bunch of different colleges, USC included, and got accepted. The great thing here is my mother did not have to pay a single dollar for me to attend USC. Now I share this story with you because in this, I learned 3 steps to achieving greatness in everything that you do. The first step is you must see it. You must see a vision of your life so grand that it scares you. The second step is you need to live it. You need to live this dream in your mind so often that you begin to believe it even before you achieve it. And the third step is you must become it. You must become, but in becoming, you must put in the effort and the passion into seeing this dream and into living this dream out. My most memorable experience at USC was during orientation. I was walking down campus and I stopped and I froze in my tracks. I looked to the left and I'm staring at the USC floral gardens. I look down and I'm standing on this red brick pathway.
I was in the exact same position I had been in 4 years prior in my mind. I was experiencing it. I had become a USC Trojan.
He's someone that really helped me in my life when I first sold my company, Elite Daily, and I wanted to find my purpose on what's next. He helped me bring that vision to life, and I'm super grateful for him. And in this episode, we're gonna get real tangible, some real actionables. So a few things that we're gonna learn on this episode is, one, who you surround yourself is everything. How to build your team.
So step one, first thing was have a team, have a solid team that can deliver. That can deliver. It has to go from point A to point B. Otherwise, you haven't led the team to success, and that's what I learned.
How do you? I know they're thinking like, but how do you build that team? Because I know a lot of the young leaders out there in my community, they hit me up all the time, and they struggle with that though. They struggle how to build a team. And I know when you're young, a lot of times they start, you start going and working with your friends and stuff like that, or you're alone because you're scared to share your ideas or to share things. Like, what would be like one thing that to help you start building that team? Is there any advice you would give?
You made probably the most important point that all of you have to think about. If you want to build a team and you're looking for people who are your friends, people that you naturally hang out with or you find around yourself all the time, you're probably hiring yourself. You're probably hiring someone who has the same skill set, someone who has the same kind of attitude and temperament. You want to hire the people who have your weaknesses, who have their strengths as your weaknesses. So if you know you're not good at execution, don't bring in your buddy who you sit down and brainstorm with because he's a visionary too. What happens is now you have two visionaries who are dreaming every day. Look for the person who may not be your friend, the person who may actually have been an enemy or someone you pushed out, but is good at getting it done. Find them, build that relationship, and understand there are three kinds of people in business. There's the entrepreneur, the guy who wants to just sell and make money.
Right.
You have the manager, the person who just is very good at making sure things are happening. And then you have the artist, the person who does what it is you want to do. Find them. PwC, they've got their managers, right? They train artists into managers. And then they have all these artists who are doing the work. And then they have the entrepreneurs who are the partners who are going out and selling, making money, And I think if you want to build a team around your weaknesses and build a team making sure you have the person who's going to make you money, make sure you have the person who's going to manage and oversee the work, and make sure you have the person who does the work.
How important it is for you to have the right culture. In fact, he works with these Fortune 50 brands and teaching them how to get millennials to engage and retain in their company, and that goes all the way down into your startup. If you can't create a culture that people bite into and that are all about your business and are passionate about it like you'll never be able to scale.
What did you learn? What is the people out there that right now are trying to figure out what the hell is this culture thing that is so important, that is this, and I'll tell you straight up, it's an intangible asset.
It is.
Intangible asset that will get you to one day either becoming $1 billion company that's around for ever.
Years, yeah.
Or get you that acquisition that most of the time they won't even almost put they'll come to buy you because of it, but you don't get valued on it. It's this unbelievable, intangible that I think is the most important asset of your company.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. I think the way you develop, a strong culture, one is by knowing what you're working with. You have to understand the people you have, their skill sets, their desires, their strengths, and personalize that experience. In this day and age, when I pick up my phone with all this machine learning, artificial intelligence, even my apps know me better than some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything has become so personalized, customized to the user, right? To where if you're a company and you want to continue to engage and retain your best talent, you need to create a culture that listens, that understands and knows who do we have? At what point in time do they start updating their LinkedIn or checking LinkedIn? Do they want to leave? Why? How do we dive into that space and have that conversation with them? So really listening and then finding ways to just, okay, here's what we have to work with, right? Here are their strengths, their skill sets, their desires, their goals, and here's how we can fulfill that. Help them feel fulfilled in the work they're doing. I would say that's the
And it's interesting because for millennials, right, one of the most important things is the fact that they want to feel like, you know, that they want to be passionate about it. They want to feel that it's a part of their purpose, you know, that they're making an impact. That's one thing that we all strive for, that fulfillment.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So how does a company, you know, that's been around for the past 100 years, who's had to completely evolve right now, there's a shift happening in cultures. And that's kind of why founders, I think, why we're going after, you know, truly trying to disrupt the educational space, entrepreneurial space, jobs, talent, how to train people. You know, you've been doing this, man. So like, are companies scared right now? Like, how are they adapting? How are they adapting?
The companies today who, for example, PwC, Deloitte, I think 2 years ago already had 80% millennials, right? So imagine you have a company this big, this many people, millennials, right? And initially when it happened, people were like, hey, they're gonna get over it. These millennials, they'll get married, they'll have kids, they'll stop being trouble for us. You know, and they realized, no, that's not the case. So a lot of the big companies shifted quickly. You'll be surprised. Some of these big companies are shifting faster than the small companies. But again, why? Because they have systems to think in the future, right? So you see a lot of these companies, they're starting to create flexible working arrangements where you can work from home. They're being more diverse. They're listening. You know, they're listening and they're incorporating all those changes, you know, that's necessary. A lot of the other companies are now at the place where they're scared because they're now at the place where they're realizing, oh crap, look around, it's all millennials now, and we were not ready.
Yeah.
They still had the same 401k structure, they still have the same hiring process, they still have the same talent review process. Millennials, for example, we want feedback. You know, we want feedback at least every quarter. We want to know how we're doing.
Yeah.
We also want to know how we're doing against our peers. But then you have these old companies who only give you a review once a year, maybe twice a year if you're lucky. So now you have a millennial who has one whole year, and then he finds out, you were okay. You weren't a star performer. You were just average. You know, so the companies are starting to realize that. And some people are still stubborn, you know, but in 2025, 75% of the entire workforce, all the people who can work, will be millennials. At that point, if your company and your company is not millennial ready from a workforce and consumer perspective, you're in trouble. You're out of business.
The next thing is about innovation. In order for you to really take it to the next level, you need to be thinking ahead, thinking about the future, really testing. And that's what he says Fortune 50 companies do. They're constantly one step ahead, innovating. In today's day and age, if you are not one step ahead, then you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna fall behind.
Technology is probably the biggest reason, you know, for all the change that we're starting to see. Even with millennials, technology has just influenced our culture and our decision making and the way we interact with products, the way we learn about products, the way we buy products, the way we experience products and services. So a lot of these companies, they're in a place now where there's so much that needs to change. So if you think about it, years ago, right, some of the big telco companies, telecommunication companies, they laid all these copper wires, right? These copper wires that allow you to pick up your phone and call someone else. Then all of a sudden you have cell phones. So now they just need towers. What happens to all the copper wire? Which is why you'll still go into an office building and see a phone. Why are you not using a voice over IP phone, but you're still plugged in? Because somebody still has to make money off the copper wire. But we're going to a place now where the copper wire has to be removed. What is happening now with this shift, this generational shift, is we're going from a place where companies were structured, even their buildings, the feeling of the buildings, the cubicles, you're gonna work here, but you're gonna live 20 miles away, you know, and drive to work. All that is changing. Like what you guys are doing, co-work, co-live, co-play, where now I can, in the same place, work, I can hang out, I can play with my friends, and then I can also live. You know, all that is starting to shift, and it's helping you deliver more value to the consumer. This shift is going to be a painful one for the big companies. It's going to be a painful one, and the great thing is by 2020, 50% of the workforce will be freelancers. What that means is you will be 50% of this entire workforce will be working for themselves.
Do you think that it's actually worth the amount of money that people have to pay to get a college degree today?
You know, what's happening again? We talk about this is this shift, and I think the shift with education is happening because of access, right? With technology, there's so much access. A company here in Newark can hire someone in India to develop code because technology made that possible, right? Before, you needed to go through this education as it is to give you a baseline, right? So when you come into a company, the company knows you can perform at this level because you've been given the baseline. The only difference is the companies have changed and are changing even faster now, right? But the education system has stayed the same for years, and it hasn't changed to really keep in mind what's happening now. If you have a freelancer, if you have, and I'm telling you the audience this right now, if you're someone who's working for a big company and you're not already thinking about how you are really an entrepreneur, how you're really a product, a brand, a business, you are in trouble. And the reason I say that is, you know, companies, because of AI, robotics, machine learning, they're becoming smarter and better. I was just going to the KLM hub, which is I think in Amsterdam. I was flying to Ghana. I made a stop there, and you go up and you see all these flight attendants and the folks at the kiosk who help you check in. And
how much has been automated now?
How much has been automated?
Unbelievable.
I literally
even the McDonald's now overseas, it's like all
boom,
turning into just being automated, digital.
Exactly. And you know what's funny was when I was going through the airport, these flight attendants, or I don't know what you call them, the ones on the desk, they were so excited to tell us to just do it ourselves. Like, no, you scan it yourself, print your barcode, put the bag in. And I'm like, you realize that you're helping this machine take over your job. Are you ready for when we actually don't need you anymore? Stay in the future. Make sure you know what's coming next. Make sure, it might be boring. You may not want to go master the new social media platform, but you need to know how it's going to impact you, your business, your brand, and then take action. Take action based on what you know. Take action. If you have the right people, they'll support you. Yes. If you have the right people, when you take action, it's multiplied, right? Exponential growth. And then, if you're taking action, I mean, you're executing. Every day you see something new, you push it forward every day. If you can do that, it's just a matter of time.
Peter Yobo, Leaders Create Leaders. Stay tuned. Season 3 is on the way, so hit that like button, comment, let us know that you dig the series. And if you want anybody in particular, we thank everybody for being part of the community. It's your boy GA, New York City. Peace.
Change, but the chain and a watch. We gon' make it rain, switch lanes in a drop. One red, one blue, like